Gilbert, U-238, Atomic Energy Lab. In the early 1950s, atomic energy was seen as the future. Nuclear science was new, exciting, and almost everyone believed it would change the world. So naturally, someone decided to turn it into a children's science kit. This kit was made by A.C. Gilbert, the same company known for educational toys like erector sets. But this was not a normal science kit. It came with uranium ore samples. It also came with a Geiger counter, a cloud chamber, an electroscope, and tools that let kids detect radiation. The idea was that children could learn real atomic science at home. And to be fair, the kit was advanced, educational, and expensive. The problem is obvious. It was still a toy for children. It relied on kids handling radioactive samples properly, keeping everything sealed, reading instructions carefully, and not treating it like a normal box of rocks. Which is a lot to expect from someone who might also lose their socks under the bed. It did not sell for very long, partly because it was expensive and complicated. But for a short time, a kid could open a box and start doing nuclear experiments in their bedroom. Lawn darts. These looked like a normal backyard game. You placed a plastic target ring on the grass, then threw large darts into the air and tried to land them inside the circle. That sounds harmless. Until you see the old darts. They had weighted metal tips, so the entire game was basically throwing small, pointed spears into the sky and hoping they landed in the right place. And this was sold as family fun. The danger was not hidden inside the toy. It was not a chemical problem or a manufacturing mistake. The danger was the main design. A heavy, pointed object was being thrown upward in a place where children and adults were standing around. Eventually, the injuries became too serious to ignore. Lawn darts were linked to deaths and many emergency room injuries, and in 1988, they were banned in the United States. This is one of those toys where the question is not really, how did it become dangerous? The question is, how was this ever considered normal? Aqua Dots. At first, this toy looked completely harmless. It was a craft set made of tiny, colorful beads. Kids arranged the beads into designs, sprayed them with water, and the beads stuck together. That was the whole product. No blade, no heat, no sharp edge, no flying plastic doll coming toward your face. Just colorful beads. But in 2007, millions of Aqua Dots were recalled after children became seriously ill from swallowing them. The problem was the chemical coating on the beads. The coating was supposed to make the beads stick together when sprayed with water, but when swallowed in larger amounts, it could become toxic inside the body. That is what made this toy so strange. With lawn darts, anyone could see the danger. With Aqua Dots, the danger looked like candy. The toy was bright, colorful, soft-looking, and made for creativity. A parent looking at the box would probably think it was one of the safer toys in the store. But the risk was invisible. And because the beads were small and colorful, swallowing them was exactly the kind of thing a young child might do. Aqua Dots became one of the clearest examples of how a toy can look safe from the outside while having a serious hidden problem. Magnetix. Magnetix were magnetic building sets made of rods and small magnetic pieces. The idea was actually good. Kids could connect the pieces together, build towers, make shapes, and learn basic construction. But inside the plastic parts were tiny magnets, and if those magnets came loose, they became extremely dangerous. The risk was not just choking. The bigger problem happened if more than one magnet was swallowed. Inside the body, magnets can attract each other through tissue. That can cause serious internal injuries and sometimes require emergency surgery. That is why small, powerful magnets became such a major toy safety issue. The exact thing that made Magnetix fun was also the problem. The magnets had to be strong enough to connect the pieces together, but if they escaped from the plastic parts, that same magnetic force could become dangerous. Millions of Magnetix sets were recalled after serious incidents, including a child's death. This was not a toy that looked scary. It looked educational. But the dangerous part was hidden inside the pieces. Easy Bake Oven. For many people, this toy is nostalgic. A tiny oven, tiny pans, and tiny cakes. The basic idea was simple. Kids could pretend to cook, but also actually bake small treats. The problem came from one version released in the 2000s. Children could get their hands or fingers trapped in the front opening of the oven. And because the toy actually heated up, this led to burn reports. The issue became serious enough that the recall expanded. The strange part is that the idea of the toy was not crazy. A toy oven makes sense. Kids like copying adults, and cooking is one of the most common pretend play activities. But once a toy uses real heat, the design has to be extremely careful. The opening, the tray, the way the food is removed, and the way a child reaches inside all matter. Because to an adult, it might look like a small plastic toy, but to a child, it is an oven they are excited to touch. Sky dancers. These were flying fairy dolls from the 1990s. You placed the doll into a launcher, pulled a cord, and the doll shot into the air while spinning. In commercials, it looked magical. The doll would launch upward and float around like a little fairy. In real life, the flight path was not always that graceful. The dolls could fly quickly and unpredictably, sometimes straight toward people. Eventually, millions of sky dancers were recalled. This is another case where the selling point was also the danger. The toy flew. That was the whole reason kids wanted it. But once a toy launches into the air and nobody fully controls where it lands, the entire room becomes part of the toy. And sometimes, the toy chooses someone's face. Cabbage Patch Kids Snacktime Kids. This doll was supposed to be cute. It came with small plastic snacks, and when you placed the food near its mouth, the doll pulled it in and pretended to chew. A doll that eats sounds like a perfect toy idea. But the chewing mechanism did not only interact with the plastic food. There were reports of children's hair and fingers getting caught in the doll's mouth. And that is where the design became a problem. Children do not play with dolls from a safe laboratory distance. They hold them close, they hug them, they lean near them. Their hair falls forward, their fingers go near the mouth. So a mechanism that works fine with plastic snacks can become risky when used by real children. Mattel eventually offered refunds for the dolls. This one almost sounds like a cartoon joke. A doll that eats things it should not. Except it was real enough that parents started sending them back. Battlestar Galactica missile toys. In the late 1970s, Mattel sold space toys based on Battlestar Galactica. These toys came with small red plastic missiles that could be launched from the vehicles. For a kid, this was probably the best part. You press a button, the missile fires, and the space battle begins. But small launchable parts are a dangerous combination. They can be lost easily, picked up easily, and end up somewhere unsafe. After serious incidents involving the missiles, Mattel started a missile mail-in replacement program. Parents could send the missiles back and receive a small toy car instead. Mattel also redesigned the toys so the missiles could no longer launch from the vehicles. This shows how one exciting feature can change the entire safety of a toy. A small missile might look harmless in the box, but once it launches, disappears under furniture, or ends up in the wrong place, it becomes a problem. So all of these toys were dangerous in different ways. The Atomic Energy Lab had radioactive material. Lawn darts had metal points. Aqua Dots had a chemical problem. Magnetix had tiny magnets. The Easy Bake Oven used heat. Sky dancers flew unpredictably. Snacktime Kids had a chewing mechanism. And Battlestar Galactica toys fired small missiles. But the pattern is basically the same. The toy was designed around the fun idea first. The safety problem came after. And toy safety is not just about what the toy is supposed to do. It is about what a child might actually do with it. Because children do not follow instruction manuals perfectly. They throw things wrong. They put things in their mouth. They get too close. They pull too hard. They use toys around siblings, pets, furniture, and chaos. And if a toy only works safely in a perfect situation, then it probably is not safe enough. Old toys were sometimes creative, some were educational, some were iconic, and some were basically lawsuits with colorful packaging. Subscribe for more weird stories explained with doodles.